Hello and very warm welcome to Dr. Ahmed YouTube channel. Today I'm going to provide in this video to my students who are willing to analyze some portions of the text with reference to the questions come to them or they need to analyze for the sake of their researches. So a very small sample will be presented how to analyze a postcolonial text. It may be applied to any text. It's not limited to postcolonial. However, parameters and dimensions would definitely change because of all that. So, first of all, let me show you the topic which we are on today. So, here is the topic, and that is analyzing postcolonial text. We shall be discussing different points, how to analyze, how to go through that, and how one can do it very easily. I have found that students are baffled or are confused up to some extent when they begin analyzing. They are mostly saying that they cannot understand. Perhaps the reason is that they have not understood the theory altogether and have not made its points so that they can see how the author has been relevant to these points and how they can apply these points to the text. So in order to start with the analysis, first of all, the students should know what are the major parameters of any theory. So for that purpose, I will show you first of all what are the parameters of the postcolonial theory. These parameters are not limited to just one or two things, but they are having many more things in that. For example, if you look at that, there is the othering, there is identity, hybridity, indigeneity, imitations, hegemony, and intervention and resistance. So these are some of the points here. I do not say that postcolonial theory has only these points or only these parameters. These are just a few. Students can go through different essays, different books by Ashcroft or by A.C. Young or by Bhabha or by Fanon. Then from there they can even Gayatri Spivak can be considered. They can capture different type of points about the text they are going to analyze. That depends on the text, that depends on the theory they are using. So by looking at the text, you can really find what type of points may be applicable to this text for the sake of analysis. I have just captured a few which I think the paragraph which I have selected may be useful for that. Every one of us knows, for example, othering means that they are the grouping on the basis of power. One group calls itself us, which is powerful, and comes on the left side of the binary opposition, and the other group is there to be nominated, to be labeled as other, which is not one of the us people. Same is the case with identity, that the identity is most of the time distorted, and as a result, hybridity germinates. The identity is distorted because of the dominant culture, which comes close to the culture which is considered inferior, and as a result, people who are born out of the interaction of these two cultures, the matters of confused identity and hybridity occur up. So these things can also be applied to the analysis of postcolonial text. Similarly, indigeneity, for example, this representation matter. The writers which belong to the formerly colonized countries, whether they inhabit these countries or not, they are likely to represent the stories of their own people, the landscape of their own country, or the kind of history they are going through of their own country. So if they are doing so, that is called as the indigeneity. This versus can be of the foreignness that one can have. Same is the case with imitation. That is also related to the representation. The authors, when they are writing any text, they are definitely representing their culture, their people, their landscape, and sometimes they represent it truly with their own vision, whatever it's going to be. But most of the time they would like to imitate their master, the colonial master. How did they represent the people who are indigenous people or non-native people or the people who are being colonized by them? So partly it will be imitation and partly it will be representation. That thing can also be applied to the paragraphs which are given for the sake of analysis. Then is the hegemony, Gramsci's concept, cultural hegemony. Basically it is like when the superior and inferior cultures collide together at that time. The certain ways and means and techniques are adopted by the colonial master, and therefore the people of the inferior culture begin to imagine that their culture is not superior, their culture is inferior, and that is why they should willingly accept the changes which are coming into their culture because of the superior power of the culture. So that will be called as cultural hegemony, which has been practiced largely all over the colonized areas. Then is the intervention. For example, when colonizer enters, that tries to intervene into different type of aspects of the local culture and tries to change them as well, tries to make them as suitable as possible to his own rule and power, and that is why it's called as the intervention. How these cultures have been changed and more modified or molded, that is what can be analyzed through this concept. Same is the case with the resistance, that is the kind of writing back according to the Ashcroft's model of writing, that the post-colonial writers write the text in order to show, in order to tell or explain the discourse that was established by the colonial master, as was pointed out by Edward Said also, that most of the unwanted things, most of the inferior things were allocated to the colonized people. The empire writing back concept gives the idea that it may be right up to some extent at that time, but it's not that right. So the assumptions are there, the assumptions which declare automatically the other people as the inferior people, and the people who are us people in the language of the colonial master, they are the superior people. So when this is type of representation of the people by the authors in the post-colonial text, that would be called as the resistance. So these are some of the ideas which one can capture and see how the analysis can be done. Now, when you have these concepts in your mind, these theories in your mind, these points of theories in your mind, and the critics and the theorists which have given them in your mind, you can approach the text, as we are going to proceed further in this matter in order to know how we can go for analysis. For example, the next thing that I am going to show you is the kind of text that I have chosen so that my people can see how the text is visible and how it is available. For example, this is the text taken from a novel, and let me tell you that it's taken from The Redbirds, the text by Muhammad Hanif, but then most of the time text is not quoted in the way that one should know who is the author, what is the novel. So that is why one needs to concentrate only on this text. The text I'm reading for you: sometimes due to the dropping bombs, they used to drop these slabs of salt being hewn in white, and they floated down tied to little umbrellas. The good thing about them was they didn't make any noise, no alarms went off, nothing burned, no houses collapsed, there was nothing to sniff, nothing to save, only a lot of excited cattle to deal with. This salt bombing was supposed to be some humanitarian plot to help us animals. Apparently, if animals lick salt, they don't catch all these nasty diseases that spread because of the rotting human flesh. And all the so-called animals rush to this falling manna. Now you look at the text, and I have highlighted some of the points here. For example, first of all, the thing is dropping bombs, and the writer says sometimes between dropping bombs they used to drop these salt slabs. So two phases have been talked about. One phase is that bombs are dropped from the airplanes, and later on the second phase, the salt slabs are dropped by the same plane. So on the one hand, killing is going on, and on the other hand, safety is presumed of the people who are survived out of all that. The bombs are really very dangerous and very ugly in shape, but on the other hand, we have the salt slabs, which have been told by the writer to be very attractive. So on the one hand, death and destruction is there, and on the other hand, there is the beautiful kind of food that is being thrown on the people who have been vanquished. And again, the writer says, and they floated down tied to little umbrellas. Very neatly, very nicely, they are dropped down, but on the other hand, the bombs are thrown indiscriminately wherever the kind of the doubt is there that some kind of terrorist may be hiding, or the people who are not obeying the master, they are hiding, the bombs are thrown in that. But these foods are sent in a very nice way, in a very polite way. And then the writer says the good thing about them was they didn't make any noise. Bombs make the noise, for example, when they burst up, they make a huge bang, and with the help of that bang, the burning begins off, and the fire is all around, and the houses fall down, and the evil smell is there, and everything is there, and people are running here and there in order to save whatever is left. And at this moment, the scene has been drawn in this text in order to show what happens when actual bomb falls from an aeroplane. So it goes to refer to the master's power and technology, with the help of which he is able to subdue the people who are less in power, who are not that intelligent, not that possessed people, and that is why they are vanquished very easily and very clearly when huge and modern, technologically very sophisticated machines come and throw bombs on these people, and as a result they are killed and they are subdued also. And then what happens when the salt slabs come? Only a lot of excited cattle to deal with. nothing else, only excited cattle. It means that humans are removed, they are killed, either the humans are being declared to be the animals or the cattle. This salt bombing was supposed to be of some humanitarian plot to help us animals. So it's again a plot, not the kind of scheme, it's a plot. And the plot is negative connotation is that it is done against somebody, but it's a humanitarian plot, possibly to save the animals, the us animals. The us animals may be the animals really, but it can also be the animals, human beings who have no desire to resist the attack, who have no desire to show their own identity, and who have no desire to, to become up to the mark in order to compete the master. These people are not less than the animals according to the writers. Apparently, if animals lick salt, they don't catch all those nasty diseases. Now, there are the diseases which are spreading because of bombs, because the human flesh is rotting. So again, the reference goes back to the double phases. One phase is that of the bombing, killing the people, bodies are rotting, and the diseases are spreading. And on the other hand, we also have this kind of humanitarian safety for those people who are survived, so they can be saved, whoever have survived. But these saved are actually the people who have been subdued. And all the so-called animals rush to this falling manna, and that's why everybody goes and catches this manna, catches this salt slab in order to save themselves. So everything is crystal clear in the paragraph that it is the kind of kindness of the master because of which the people go and catch. They forget what has happened to them, and they forget also what their identity was, and now they are ready to follow the master. So these are different ways to make the subdued people follow the master. One of the way is to first of all punish them, first of all kill them, first of all throw bombs on them and eradicate any type of resistance, and after that trying to rescue the people who are saved from this bombing, and after the people who are ready to obey the master. So this is the kind of interpretation of this paragraph that can be understood very easily, and proceeding further we can see what possible things have come out of that. In the paragraph, the war has been talked about, bombs are thrown, and that is why killing happens, then food supplies come and later on follow that. And the clear indications that humanitarian versus deaths are there. If the attitude has been humanitarian, why then the deaths were preceding all this humanitarian activity? And same is the case with the technology being referred to here, that West or the European or the master is powerful, technologically advanced, and far superior to the people. Human have been declared in this text to be like animals. They are not having the status of human, or they are not being accorded the status of human being by the master. And the text is written in colonial master's language, that is English. It is representing more, it's showing more the influence and the power of the language of the English master. Then the space has been indicated that this space is not, in this paragraph particularly, not in the novel particularly, but in the paragraph, the space is going to be something which is desert-like, which is deserted, which is subdued place, there's vanquished place, and that place which has got nothing technologically advanced and it's got no civilization at all. That's the type of space declared to be. So these are some of the things available clearly in the text. When we have found all that, we can say that we have this type of findings that the killing and saving both go hand in hand, bombs and salt slab go hand in hand, humans and animals go hand in hand in this paragraph, and therefore on the one hand civilization is there, on the other hand savagery is being committed. So the people who are calling themselves civilians, they are the us people, and the people on whom the savagery is being committed, they are the others. And the technological advancement and superiority, as was claimed by the European university philosophers and intellectuals, that Europe is technologically far superior to the people who are non-European. And in the same tone, we have also discovered that the culture has been hegemonized, and as a result people are subdued culturally, and their aspects of life have also been subdued. And this is all the case of empire striking back, telling the master that this is going to happen with the people who are living in these areas, or the people who are in the under the threat or under the force of the colonial master. So in that way the text represents these are the analytical points, and this is what we can call as our findings and conclusions of the same paragraph that we have referred to. By the way, keep this paragraph in mind, because without keeping this paragraph in mind one cannot proceed further. The paragraph is this, you have seen it already, and you can repeat all that. Now see what the conclusions possibly can be there. The first analytical conclusion of the passage is that the author, while writing in English, analyzes the attitudes of the stresses that the power to prove their control bomb the poor and technologically inferior and dispossessed people to erase what is termed terrorism or any type of resistance, and later through salt or food or the protective materials to keep the people alive. Later, it means that first of all they kill and later on keep the people alive. Why not give something to these people to keep them alive? So that is the hypocrisy of the attitude which the colonial master would like to adapt towards the people who are technologically far less advanced as compared to these people. And the second thing that we can also put here as a conclusion, the writer comments that the people are treated as animals, and so the othering and the marginalization are portrayed in the paragraph. And the last thing that one can use for a conclusion is that this is a particular case of empire writing back, as the author represents his people under oppression and exposes the double standards of the empire because of the difference in appearance and reality. So that was all about this, and so therefore thank you for watching all that, and hopefully it has contributed to your knowledge, and it possibly is going to help the people in order to analyze the passage in examinations or for the sake of research. So students, you have seen this is the way how we can analyze any given text. So the points are the same. For example, if the text is going to be analyzed with reference to the postcolonial theory, you need to have some points in your mind, and these points can come only when you read the text and see what are the things there which can directly relate to Edward Said, Baba, or Gayatri Spivak, or Fanon, or Gramsci. Any of these, maybe more even, any of these people may be brought in order to seek out some of the points which may be quite relevant to that. It means when you make a selection of all that, you can apply in the text and see what are the major points in the text, and out of that what inferences one can have, what kind of conclusions and findings one can have, and that would bring you to the final analysis of the paragraph. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next video. If you like this video, if you got to understand something out of that, you have benefited from that, do not fail to hit the subscribe button or the like button. You can comment as well. I may be able to answer sometime. So thank you. See you later in some other video. Till then, keep happy, keep smiling.